Paris is the city that symbolizes joie de vivre, freedom and beauty. Its name evokes profound emotion, tied to a fascinating history and spectacular monuments. The bateaux mouches that travel up and down the Seine offer a charming and romantic view of Paris. We pass by domes, bridges, palaces, the Eiffel Tower and the city's islands. And we can see the riverfront, lined with plane trees. And it is along the banks of the Seine that some of the city's most characteristic quarters can be found. Paris is dotted with famous monuments that encapsulate entire historic periods. We have chosen 3 of the most important ones for our visit. The Eiffel Tower, the emblem of late 19th century modernity, the Arc de Triomphe, which bears witness to Napoleonic grandeur, and Notre Dame, the symbol of medieval Paris. Our tour of the city will start from Notre Dame. The church is the world's most famous Gothic cathedral. Despite its extraordinary size, the cathedral emanates a sense of airy lightness due to its daring structure and broad windows. Notre Dame played a major role in the events of the French Revolution. During the Reign of Terror, an artist from the opera, dressed in veils, was placed on the throne as the goddess of reason. And a few years later, Napoleon was crowned emperor here. Sainte-Chapelle is also located on Ile de la Cité. The ancient royal chapel was built at the same time as Notre Dame. The church is composed of 2 chapels set over each other. The upper one is dazzling, with multi-hued light filtering through the priceless stained glass windows. In the 16th century, a splendid new royal residence was built, this time on the right bank of the Seine, over what was once the site of a fortress known as the Louvre. The oldest part, later completed with a monumental facade, faces the Cour Carrée. This was the site of the adventures of noblemen, cardinals and queens, as recounted by Alexandre Dumas in The Three Musketeers. Following the French Revolution, the royal art collections began to be exhibited to the public. Among its masterpieces, Leonardo's Mona Lisa, the Turkish Bath by Ingres, Concert Champêtre by Titian or perhaps Giorgione, and Liberty Leading the People by Delacroix. 2 ladies from antiquity gracefully welcome visitors to the glorious rooms of the Louvre: Venus de Milo and the Winged Victory of Samothrace. Venus de Milo, which dates from the 2nd century BC, is the best-known celebration of female beauty, according to the aesthetics of the ancient Greeks. The winged victory of Samothrace, dedicated to a naval victory, well symbolizes Hellenistic art. Napoleon I and Napoleon III completed the Louvre by adding the long arm that stretches along the Seine. In 1989, the pyramid designed by Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei was installed in the Cour Napoléon. Located between the two arms of the Louvre is the Arc du Carrousel, a replica of the Arch of Septimius Severus in Rome. The Palace of the Tuileries once overlooked these gardens. The palace was built by Catherine de' Medici in the 16th century, but it was destroyed in a fire in 1871. The Louvre is the starting point for the sweeping view that crosses Place de la Concorde and extends to the Arc de Triomphe. Place de la Concorde, designed in the 18th century for Louis XV, occupies an area of 360 by 210 meters. This enormous square is where over 1,000 people were guillotined, including Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Today, the majesty of Place de la Concorde is barely touched by traffic, and this vast space is a perfect urban setting. The square offers a splendid view of the Church of the Madeleine, located at the end of the axis, formed by two large fountains and an Egyptian obelisk. A short distance from the Madeleine are the shop windows of Fauchon, the paradise of gourmets. On the other side of Place de la Concorde, the view sweeps across the bridge towards the Assemblée Nationale, the French Chamber of Deputies. After crossing Place de la Concorde, we come to the beginning of the Champs-Élysées. To the left are the Petit Palais and the Grand Palais, built for the World Expo of 1900 in the eclectic style popular at the time. Between the two buildings, we can see the entrance to the Pont Alexandre III, also richly decorated with lampposts and sculptures. The Rond-Point des Champs-Élysées marks the beginning of Avenue Montaigne, where the most prestigious French and international designers are based. The Champs-Élysées dates from the 17th century and was the work of the famous landscape architect Le Nôtre, who created the gardens of Versailles. Its current appearance dates from the 19th century. The avenue, which is 2 kilometers long, is the Parisians' favorite place for a stroll, and it's lined with cinemas, theaters, restaurants, night spots, and luxury hotels. The Lido is a classic nighttime rendezvous for Parisians and visitors alike, and the lovely Bluebell girls have helped make it famous. A walk down the impressive Avenue des Champs-Élysées, full of life at all hours of the day and night, makes it easy to understand why all the European monarchs wanted to imitate Paris, designing a boulevard like it in their own capitals as a sign of magnificence and power. The Arc de Triomphe, set in the middle of Place de l'Étoile, dramatically ends the Champs-Élysées. Designed on Napoleon's orders, the Arc de Triomphe is the symbol of French military glory. 50 meters high, it is decorated with bas-reliefs illustrating the emperor's victories. In both its style and celebratory intention, it is reminiscent of the great arches of imperial Rome. All official events and military parades terminate at this monument, the symbol of French grandeur. Twelve wide streets radiate from Place de l'Étoile. This type of urban design has helped make Paris famous as a hub and driving force of the modern world. Most of the streets known for their elegant luxury are located in the district behind Place de la Concorde, between the Grand Boulevard and the Louvre. Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré, Rue de Rivoli, Place Vendôme, Rue de la Paix and Place de l'Opéra. Like many other streets and squares in Paris, opulent Place Vendôme was built by Louis XIV to display the splendor of his reign. It was designed by Audouin Mansart, the architect of Versailles and of the Dome of Les Invalides, and one of the men who contributed the most to defining the face of Paris. He was the one who created the dormers that crown the buildings around the square, which were later named mansards after him. Rue de la Paix means luxury jewelers. The opera is the very symbol of the art of musical drama. The building was designed by Charles Garnier in the triumphal style that characterized the Belle Époque of the late 19th century. Now that the new Opéra Bastille has been inaugurated, the building mainly hosts concerts and classical ballet. Next to the Louvre is the 17th century palace built by the powerful minister Richelieu, one of the main forces behind French power during the age of Louis XIII. Upon his death, the palace was bequeathed to the king and was given the name of Palais Royal. A colonnade was later built around the garden, and it was quickly filled with shops, cafes, restaurants, and even brothels and gambling houses. During the French Revolution and the period of the Empire, the Palais Royal, with its picturesque locales, was a favorite meeting place of revolutionary society and the new emerging classes. From the top of Tour Montparnasse, we can clearly see the green areas of the boulevard. Most of these roads were built by Baron Haussmann during the second half of the 19th century along the ancient fortifications, and they are the city's most distinctive feature. Most of the intersections are set at a V, thus multiplying the perspectives, and the roads end at monuments and squares such as Place de la Bastille. This square is dominated by the July column, which celebrates the French national holiday, and by the impressive building of the Opéra Bastille, Paris's new opera house. Paris's underground network is more than 200 kilometers long and is easy to use, particularly with the help of the electrical panels indicating the right direction and itinerary. From the Bastille, we'll head in the direction of Ile de France to Place de la Concorde, where we'll change, continuing on the Porte de la Chapelle line to Abbesse. We are in Montmartre, on the slopes of the hill overlooking the right bank of the Seine. The domes of the Church of Sacré-Cœur dominate the quarter, made famous by Manet, Van Gogh, Utrecht, Toulouse-Lautrec, Picasso, and many other artists. The glistening grey rooftops of Paris open up into thousands of dormers that wink at us with